for the past 6 years now, have been making clothing and selling it as my full-time job. My work is taking existing fabrics or textiles or clothing and customizing them and then converting them into something new that people can wear, and giving life to things that would otherwise be discarded or lead to further textile waste.
Hello, everybody. Today we are here with Jack Powell, aka Jack Sews, and we are on This Was Trash from War and Future.
I started sewing when I was, I think, 14 or 15. It was just a hobby, just something to do for fun, like to alter my own clothing, because like I wanted my clothing to like be a certain way or something. So I thought, well, I can just edit it myself. And so I got on YouTube and I started watching these videos of like how to sew and stuff, and just was using some old machine, like I think it was from my grandmother or something that was in our house. And so then eventually started to like it more and more and more, and it was like this creative outlet for myself. And so I eventually started making clothes out of existing fabrics, and I think I was maybe a senior in high school when I made a hoodie out of beach towels. And that's what kind of pushed me over the edge, really, of like focusing more so on hoodies and sweatshirts, but from like non-traditional or kind of like avant-garde fabrics or styles and stuff like that. I try to use like vintage hoodies or sweatshirts that I can reuse, and those are all, like, from my experience so far, I know that there's a lot of modern clothing that's made well and are durable and stuff like that, but I really enjoy working with older textiles and fabrics from like the 90s or early 2000s that it just seems like they're just made better. A lot of the like high cotton percentage textiles from that time, I probably get like 90% of those all from like eBay or Depop or from thrift stores, where I try to find like used thing. I just try to think to myself, am I causing like big companies to like produce more and more fast fashion? And I try to just avoid doing that. So if I can find it used, I always try to go that route. If you're just looking at the videos that I'm making online, I'd say probably like 75% of those are just one-of-one pieces. And then like 25% are going to be items that's a sample. And then I've purposefully like planned out, okay, can I recreate this piece, and try to mix in a few of those, because those create funding for the company and create funding for future projects. Yeah, so that actually is like a current problem I'm trying to figure out, really, if like I need a team of people who are like dedicated to specific things, and so I can focus more on like just the oversight of like the vision of company moving forward. I mean, my 3 sisters, they do work for me, but they all have their own individual lives and stuff like that, and so sometimes they're busy, and but I really appreciate the help that they're able to give me. But I'll just have to eventually just push all this actual creation of products aside, focus on the future of how do I scale and like create more of a functional business company, instead of just I'm making clothes. I hope that the whole recycled clothing and like used clothing movement, I guess you would call it, gets to the point where it's like accepted as a legitimate like means of clothing production. I think that like within, I guess, speaking about the public, speaking about just individuals, that upcycling and recycled clothing and used clothing would be seen as that's a legitimate like whole clothing sphere, and it's not just some niche thing, and like used clothing is gross or something. Like when I was growing up, like I would like buy clothes at the thrift store, and everyone was like, oh, that's kind of weird and gross. But now it's much more common than it was when I was younger.